Hey guys, Nathan Robart. Wanted to do a quick video on something that comes up all the time. I get this question asked all the time. Hey Nate, what's the process of closing, right? Like once we get to the end of the deal, how does it work out? What's close of escrow? What's your signing date? When do you get your keys? When do I get my paycheck? So I want to do a quick video on what the process of closing and escrow was and kind of how that plays out at the end. So I'm gonna flip over here to another screen and tell you a little bit about it, all right? So I wanted to piggyback off of the previous video and kind of walk you through a normal escrow process, kind of what you can expect, whether you're a buyer or a seller. This is kind of the normal process. So first things first, offer gets accepted, right? And once an offer is accepted, then typically per the contract, you have about 2 days to get the earnest money deposited. So if you're the buyer, you got to deposit your earnest money deposit. If you're the seller, you're waiting for the buyer to deposit your earnest money deposit, right? So that's kind of first step. Second step is the home inspection. And the home inspection period usually gets done anywhere from 7 to 14 days, right? And if you're the buyer, you need to order the home inspection to find out what the quality of the house is. If you're the seller, you're waiting on the buyer to complete their home inspection. And once the home inspection is done, the buyer has the option to request repairs, right? And they normally have to request their repairs during the 7 to 14 day due diligence period while they're doing their home inspection. All right, and then the buyer and seller will back and forth kind of negotiate repairs. Sometimes there's repairs, sometimes there's not. All right, and then once, as an example, if the buyer asks for repairs, the seller is willing to do those repairs, their seller will immediately start doing them. If not, and they just agree to either a credit or no repairs needed, then obviously this section goes away. Usually what we see is between the home inspection and the appraisal process, the seller will order the HOA documentation for buyers to review. And the sellers have 5 days. The buyers have 5 days once the seller provides the HOA resale package to them to review those documents. All right, so again, offer gets accepted, earnest money deposited, home inspections completed, negotiate, or maybe you won't negotiate repairs. You'll review the HOA documentation from the seller. And then if you're a buyer getting a loan, your lender will need to order the appraisal, right? If it's a cash buyer, if it's a cash deal, if you're a seller, then there's not going to be any appraisal. Okay, so if you're a buyer and you're buying a home and you're getting a home loan, your lender will require that an appraisal is done on the property to find out what the value is. And that's usually done anywhere between 15 to 21 days. So I'll just put 15 to 21 days, okay? And then after the appraisal comes in, obviously there's some back and forth on the appraisal. If the appraisal comes in high, then you're getting a good deal. If the appraisal comes in low, the buyer may renegotiate with the seller. Most of the time, if you have a good real estate agent, then your appraisal will come in at the agreed to price and you can move forward. After the appraisal is done, you're just waiting for the buyer's loan approval to go through. And this usually is about a 30-day to 45-day process, okay? And so once the loan is approved for the buyer, then the buyer's lender will send the loan docs over to the title company, and the buyer and the seller will then schedule in their signing day. Now, again, keep in mind the closing, the signing, and the recording day, they all get a little confused. Most of the time, you'll hear people say, well, it's my closing's on the 30th, and they're signing on the 30th. What they mean is their signing appointment is set up for the 30th, but their actual closing recording day, 9 times out of 10, is going to happen a little bit later. So normally what you do is you sign your loan documentation. The buyer does their final walkthrough 2 days prior to close of escrow. And your close of escrow date is actually the day that your home records, okay? Now what you'll do is you'll hear confusion from buyers, sellers, whoever that is, and they'll get their signing day confused with their closing and recording day. So close of escrow, 9 times out of 10 means recording date. So if your close of escrow date is the 30th, that means that it's going to record, or hopefully record, on the 30th, and then on the 31st or the 1st, depending on the month, you'll get your keys, or if you're a seller, you'll get your check that next day. So again, offer gets accepted, earnest money deposited, home inspections completed, possibly negotiate repairs, review your HOA docs, your lender will order the appraisal, your loan will get approved, you'll schedule your signing day. This is for buyers and sellers. Typically, the buyers will complete their walkthrough either prior to signing or like the day of or the day after, but normally you're doing your walkthrough a couple days prior to close of escrow, and then close of escrow is the same as your recording day, okay? And then, of course, once the home records, you'll either get your keys or you'll get your check, depending on if you're the buyer or the seller. So hopefully this helps you out. I get this question asked all the time, and I'd love to go into more detail of each one of these categories. If you have any questions, please leave me a message below, and I'll do some more videos about this. All right, guys, so that was just kind of a quick explanation of what the closing process is from the time you get your offer accepted to the time that you get your keys or your paycheck. Hopefully that helped you out. If not, and you have questions, put them down there at the bottom, add them to whatever this is, and we'll go from there. All right, bye, guys.